All right, we're going to go ahead and get started if we can. We got a lot to get through today, so I want to give these guys as much time as possible. Welcome to our panel discussion today on how standards break silos in automation, focusing in on the VDA 50/50 story. And this session is sponsored by the Mobile Automation Group of MHI. So just a quick few slides on who the Mobile Automation Group is. We are a delegate of many delegates come together in one group with a single mission and vision, and that's basically to promote the market awareness, the growth, and essentially the effective use of mobile robotics in the industry, whether you call that an AGV, an AMR, an SGV, an LGV, the list goes on and on. And our vision is really to be the trusted independent authority on all of these mobile robotics so that you guys have somewhere to go to talk to and to get the real story, if you will. These are our MAG members, as we call them. It's made up of two different types of companies. You have your OEMs who actually manufacture AGVs and AMRs. And then we also have executives that you saw in there that provide different controls or parts of the AGV and AMRs themselves. This is a list of all the MAG members here at the show. I encourage you to try to get by as many as you can. Each one of them are offering a little bit different things here and there to their technologies and portfolios. So please try and get by as many as you can and see what the technology is out there. Also, if you would, we would love for you to follow us on LinkedIn, stay up to date on everything, latest trends, latest market news. So if you'll just scan this QR code, that should take you to the MAG LinkedIn page there, and you can start following that, see everything that you want to see on mobile robotics. We have a few upcoming events that I just wanted to make note of. Coming up in May, actually, not far from now. So in Jacksonville, we will have our spring meeting where we all come together again and discuss all the important things in the industry that are going on, challenges that we need to overcome, solutions that we need to figure out how to solve. So all these type of things that will come together in Jacksonville. And then we have our annual conference this year. It's at Palm Springs, California. Oh, nice. I think I'll actually make sure I make that one too. So, and again, there we do a little bit more than just the groups getting together. We have a lot of keynote speakers. We bring in end users for that as well to kind of discuss the different challenges that we're seeing in the market. So, two great events. If you're interested, just talk to either any of us up here or to Jayesh back here with MHI or Alyssa with MHI. We're happy to connect you and see where you can get involved in any of these events. So, we have a very esteemed panel in my mind today because we have a lot of great knowledge and people up here to talk about VDA 50/50 and really interoperability. And I'm guessing that's probably why a lot of you guys are here today, right? So you're interested in this thing called interoperability. What is it? Does it apply to me? And where are we going with it? So let me introduce real quickly myself, Brian Keiger. I will be your moderator and host today. I am the former chair of the Mobile Automation Group. I have rolled off to allow other people to have some opportunities, but I'm still very involved in the Mobile Automation Group. Been a member for many, many, many years. When I'm not playing around with the Mobile Automation Group, I am the Chief Commercial and Brand Officer at Conveyco, a leading system integrator in the industry. So I am really excited to be here today and even more excited to introduce now this panel. And I'm going to start over here. And if you just go one by one, give your name, a little bit of background. Andrew, we'll start with you.
So I'm Andrew Greene. I'm not the CTO at Seegrid. I am the product manager for enterprise software at Seegrid. And I've been working with VDA 50/50 for several years now, including a couple of implementations.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Dave Gustafson. I'm with SICK. and spent the last 25 years or so in IoT and robotics and interoperability, part of this.
Hi, I'm Susanne. Flew in here from Germany. I'm with IDEALworks. We are a BMW spin-off, and I focus my work on the integration of partner robots, and I'm also part of the VDA 50/50 core team over there developing the standard.
Hello, my name is Wes Moore. I'm with Shaw Industries. I'm the corporate automation business manager, and been with Shaw for more than 20 years, so I've been in the business for a long time. And I'm up here on this panel as kind of an end user from that perspective.
Excellent. And just real quick sound check, Jess. Is everybody good up here on the panel? You hear everyone? Perfect. So this is going to be a very informal discussion today, what we like to call our fireside chats. So we got a nice warm fire going up here, so just get cozy and settle in, and really excited. So as we said, we're talking today about interoperability, VDA 50/50 in particular. And if you've been following anything in the supply chain, you know the automation and the warehouses and distribution center, it's evolving at record speed, right? And if you've walked any of this show so far, you're probably overwhelmed with the number of technologies that are out there. And I would guess to say there's quite a few simple ones, but there's just as many complex technologies evolving out there. And it's really important to notice that even the smartest of these systems that you're going to see out there, they fall way short if they choose to disregard interoperability. So that's what we want to talk about today, and what I'm excited to talk about and focus in on the VDA 50/50 standard and its role in interoperability. And Susanne, since you are our esteemed guest from Germany with sitting on the VDA core as well, core team, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about what is the VDA standard, VDA 50/50 standard? What pain point does it address, and why should I care?
Okay, let's start. What is it? Technically, it's a vendor-neutral communication interface that allows any fleet control, fleet management software to talk to any mobile robot, as long as they both agree to speak VDA 50/50. So the idea is, as an end user, you can pick and choose and just have the mobile robotic hardware provider you want, as well as the fleet management software provider you want, and make them work together at a drastically reduced integration effort.
Okay.
And where did we go? What is it? What's the pain point?
What's the pain point, and why
Where
should
does
I
it come
care?
from? Like,
yeah.
maybe a little detail on what's the name from. Like, VDA is the German acronym for the Association of the German Automotive Industry. So they started this project almost about 10 years ago now because of the pain point they had at hand, which was that they had different suppliers in their plants, because they pick and choose each mobile robot for which is best fit for the application at hand.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And they wanted them to work together efficiently, but they all came with their own proprietary fleet management software, and they had issues at hand to solve. For example, I guess most prominent, traffic management. How do you decide which robot gives way to what robot? And they came up with more and more of these issues. So they initiated this standard where they're like, I don't really want to choose between either or. I want to be able to have any robot I want to talk to any fleet management, or even my in-house fleet management software, so I can choose the hardware I need for my specific application, still have them all run under one fleet management software. That's the pain point they had, and then they kicked off this project, and that's when we started work on it.
So if I'm hearing you right, then if I'm a manufacturer or in a production warehouse or wherever I may be, and I have multiple tasks that need to be done, as you'll walk around out here today, you'll see there's some people that make some really good forklift AGVs. You'll see others that make really good AMRs, conveyor tops. Not everybody does everything, so and sometimes you're going to need to bring in multiple technologies. But it's not just technology, because if you do it like Susanne was mentioning, where everybody was like had multiple vendors and they all want to do their own thing, you're creating silos of automation, right? So now you're losing all that efficiency in the workflows. Am I correct?
That was kind of the main point, because like you could have isolated very efficiently, like everyone knows best what they're doing, I guess. But the moment you need them to work together, where you have handovers between robots to robots, and the reason why we actually, like where we originated from is German automotive industry, because they had just the most complex use cases already 10 years ago, I guess. Right. It's not really specific. The standard itself doesn't really only apply to automotive industry. It's just they were the first, I would say, in Europe that thought about automation end to end. Really kind of have to have mobile robots work together, not just as an isolated process.
Gotcha. So that kind of begs the question, born out of Europe, Germany in particular, I've known about it for 10 years, but that's because I used to work for a German company with German AMRs, so of course I was part of that early on. But over here in the US, we really haven't, we've kind of shied away from any discussions around it. No one really wants to unlock their black box and let anybody in, right? So my question is, where do we stand today? I'm starting to hear more and more about it. I've started to see companies here in the U.S., one in particular, which I won't name, but even has now mandated that their suppliers, AMR or AGV suppliers, need to be VDA 5050 compliant. But where are we with the adoption of it in the U.S.? And I want to go to Wes here for just a minute, because as a U.S. customer with multiple facilities, and you've invested heavily in AGVs and AMRs. I don't know if you know what the split there is, but what do you see coming on the horizon? Do you see this as something that your company could possibly adopt, and how could it help you actually?
So currently we have many locations with multiple types of AGVs, and today we have to keep them separate in different areas. So if we do have them interact, you get a stalemate, because they're just going to take over with the safety features. They're just going to stop. So when we look at AGVs, we would like to in the future, like I mentioned earlier, if I have a company I'm working with that has a great fork truck, well, they don't really do the best in these other areas. We need the ability to pick the best of all worlds for our company. We don't have a VDA 5050 compliant company that we work with yet. That's something that we really need as an end user to work with in the future, to give us that opportunity, because as everybody sees, everyone here has their certain products they sell. Some have the best of both worlds on different things, but we want the best for everything for us than having to settle. So that VDA 5050 standard in the future is going to help us as a consumer or end user to that next level of being able to choose who we want to work with.
And then I'm going to come over here to you, Andrew. As an OEM, now hearing what he's looking for, do you see OEMs here in the U.S. now starting to kind of listen to that and taking some direction with that?
There's definitely some variability. I've seen some companies are jumping full into it, like we are at Seegrid. We're jumping fully into VDA 5050 and adopting it. Some pushback, but everybody's at different levels with it. It's also it's a toolbox, right? It's you don't necessarily need to use the entire standard for an application, but as long as you use some of it, or you adjust enough of your product to use it, you can provide the end customer the thing where they are best fit for the application, whether it's your fleet manager or your trucks. And that's what's been really interesting to see, because I've worked in the US and in Europe to see how much slower the US has been to pick it up, at least with the OEMs. But now, like this year and what's coming, it seems like it's really picked up.
So we mentioned a few things when talking to Susanne about the challenges that operations has, and why they're turning towards the VDA 5050 standard. Outside of that, what else are you seeing besides workflow inefficiencies? Anything else that's driving you guys that you're really paying attention to that VDA can help address?
Yeah, so the workflow efficiencies and making sure traffic management's safe and efficient and reliable and consistent is really the main thing, but also having that single point of contact and having like a single screen you're training your operators on. It's universal for all your buildings. That is also a key benefit of having VDA 5050 as a fleet management space.
So I'm going to go back to you, Susanne, here for a minute. Looking at, again, what's been done over in Europe, in your opinion, why do you think VDA 5050 has had such adoption in Europe, but been slow to adopt in the US? What's stopping us from embracing it like Europe has?
I think we have a few restrictions you have less of in the States. Like first is a massive space restriction. Our warehouses are tiny. We have to go very vertical. Everything's very condensed. I would say that's one thing. And I think the main thing, to be honest, is like we had, also from the manufacturers initially, there was huge pushback because obviously like you have vendor lock-in and you like that as a manufacturer, right? But like that's one big thing German automotive was always really good at. Like they hate vendor lock-in and they want to keep their supplier kind of. So I think one of the big things is just they saw what's in it for the end user. They just want to have that flexibility. And also if like what we also saw as a company when we started our first brownfield projects is you might have an AGV that has been running for like 20 years. But you have like they have no obligation to still provide you service. Now, if you want to expand your fleet, if you want to add more mobile robots to that application, you can't just do it, or you can't force them to do it, or they might even be out of business. We even like when we just had one big project where we started with IDEALworks OS, and they asked us, "Can you integrate that robot?" We were like, we wouldn't know how because the company is actually by now it doesn't even exist anymore. It's a 20-year-old AGV. It's running fine. It's good hardware, but we can't really work with it. So you have to build like workarounds where you put sensors on it and kind of monitor them. And it gets expensive and complex. And I think we've just seen more of these issues coming up by having proprietary interfaces only, that by now just people are very aware of it when they start projects. This will be an issue eventually and also I think we're starting to think automation more end-to-end in Europe now. Like it used to be more isolated, and now people are really have the bigger picture.
Yeah, the full integrated picture. So, yeah, so it's interesting because I know from my experience in here, in this world of VDA 5050, there's been a pushback in the U.S. because I think there's been a misconception of VDA 5050. They talk about collaborating. They immediately think, oh, I've got to share all my IP. Can you speak to that? Because I don't think that's necessarily the case, and I think it's a big misconception. It's not about sharing IP. It's about collaborating with the knowledge and the information that is shared, above the OT level as well.
I mean, I think it's just an easy way to push back as a manufacturer. I think IP is always that one thing. If you don't really have a good point, you're just like, no, technically that's IP. I guess I get that in many discussions. We also had that a lot in Germany. Like I said, it just kind of end user push was strong enough. And at the end of the day, it's a communication interface. So pretty much all we define is like, if I, as a fleet management software, want you to execute a certain thing, this is how I will tell you to do it. And this is how you report as a robot back to us that you're actually doing it on the progress and reporting your state of charge or anything like that. There's very little IP in reporting what stage of charge you're at, to be honest.
Yep.
And I think, yeah.
So the message here is you're not sharing IP, guys. So that should not be an excuse to kind of shy away from VDA 5050 standard. That's really what I was, like you said, I think it's the easy way out for a lot of the manufacturers today is just say, well, we don't want to share IP. And it's not at all about that. So excellent. Dave looks a little lonely over here. So I want to throw a question his way because Dave is our safety expert and does have a lot of valuable input here. But what are some of the important safety considerations?
It's funny, if I might jump in, because I'm excited to talk about the safety. Wes, you even hinted at it just a moment ago when you had your different systems in different zones, and then they, from a safety perspective, couldn't work with one another. So just from a safety perspective. So mobile robots, they're in a shared dynamic space. They have to work with people. They have to work with each other, things. And this is where interoperability is just crucial. It's really, really important. And this is where it needs system level coordination, where a fleet manager has to understand what the fault conditions are, what the zones, and there's just all these that have been laid out through this interoperability standard and this approach, so that we're using the same language. This is again the report status, the faults, and how they behave in different traffic conditions, how they receive routes, and so on. But this is at that higher level of coordination, and it really complements what the safety standards are. The 3691-4, R1508, E565. There are a few out there that state the safety, the importance are of the safety of our mobile robots, but the interoperability is best addressed through this VDA 5050 standard. That is the coordination layer. That's how they work together. And it's this interoperable consistency that matters for our robots.
Well said. So
Really important.
yeah, so I knew you could tie safety into this very well. I appreciate that. And now I want to talk about, kind of makes me think, wow, this all sounds like really good stuff. I think we're heading down the path. Suzanne's convinced us. Wes wants it as an end user. Andrew over here sitting like, okay, tell us, how do companies get started? Are there resources that can help them, get started with VDA 5050 compliancy?
Yeah, so with getting started, it's actually incredibly easy to start now. The VDA team, the VDMA team, has this GitHub with all their public documentation. There's examples. They're also very responsive, so if you have very specific implementation questions, you can just post on the GitHub or ask questions there. So the material is there to get started with. There's things online that you can find. There's resources like that. And then when it actually comes to deploying it, it needs to be a collaborative application with whomever the OEM is, the end user, other OEMs that are there. They need to be sitting down at the same table, literally like talking through the spec and like, okay, we navigate this way, we don't navigate that way. We use these features. This is how we're going to define what a pick is and what a place is. And laying that all down, drawing that all out, and implementing from there, it makes it a very simple conversation because you have the material online. It's right there. 2.1 is public, 3.0 is public. It's just right there. You can plan forward as well. And with those resources and then anything you can find online and any conversations you might have with the VDA group as well, it's a simple thing to do, but you just have to sit down and have a conversation with your vendor.
And I would also say that engaging with the Mobile Automation Group of MHI is a great way because we have access to all of this knowledge here. And it's just one easy way to get immediately connected with the VDA standard and how to kick it off. So this one's really for the whole panel. While Wes, it's more geared towards an end user. I know, Wes, you haven't actually implemented VDA 5050, but you find many ways that you can. Are there any success stories that we have out there that we can share today that that kind of bring to fruition what VDA 5050 did to make the system more successful than before? Any of y'all? I can talk about a couple then. Particularly in automotive here in the U.S. right now is where we've seen it. And again, it goes back to what Suzanne was saying. There's several automotive manufacturers in the U.S. that have already brought this into as a mandate because they've seen the success of the collaboration. Everything working together in collaboration is much better than everything working in silos, working against one another and not talking and not gaining those efficiencies. So what I'd love to see, and I hope we do see here in the near future, is people paying attention to what's working in the automotive industry and branching out and seeing how it can work now in warehouses, distribution centers, because the core principle is still the same. I think one of the best solutions I ever installed in a beverage plant, the solution and the core principle of the technology came out of automotive. So just because you're in beverage, just because you're in apparel, no matter what network or industry you're in, you should pay attention to what's successful in other industries, because those can definitely be carried over. So let's talk a little bit about the future of interoperability. Dave, can you tell us a little bit about automation, robotics, the future operability? What does that look like?
What does it look like in the future? Boy, we know this is a fast-changing kind of environment for our robots and for our people. We want more collaboration, and we need interoperability to be among this. And this isn't just robot to robot, robot to fleet manager in that coordination, but it also means robot to people, robot to humanoids, what have you. So this is a terrific step in managing our fleet, but there are some efforts too where we need to go. This is with the 21.4.23 effort. There's another interoperability, and as well this intelligent machine guild effort that's underway, where we're looking at even the psychology and the behavior of people, how we interact with our robots. And this all has to, there's uniformity in the language we have to communicate for our robots and automation. So those are a couple things that are happening. I see, Florian, if you say hi, we've got Open RobOps too that's taking advantage of this, that's making it easier for our fleet management and our orchestration layers too, to leverage this interoperability in the same way to communicate. So I think that's where we're headed, is to make this easier, faster, more commissionable, and more predictable in our automation.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So, Susanne, can you tell us a little bit more about the VDA 50/50 roadmap? What's the outlook of VDA 50/50 for the future? What does that roadmap look like right now? What's in store?
Well, just a couple of weeks ago, we published a 3.0 version of VDA. So that just got out, and we strongly focused on enabling autonomous robots within that release and also just clean it up. So as Andrew already mentioned, we have a public GitHub. It's actually, everything is open source, so anyone can access it anytime. And we try and collect as much feedback as we can. We also try to see, we have sometimes also non-members join core team meetings. Colleagues from Rockwell Automation actually joined to kind of have a bit of a US perspective on some of our meetings, which was also great. So we just did a huge round of revising and kind of cleaning up the standard and enabling path sharing and zone concepts for more autonomous applications. That's out. And for now, we decided kind of to give it a bit of a rest, have the industry take the time to implement it so we get a bit of feedback, but we don't plan on anything major or breaking being released within the next 2 years, because usually it takes a while for people to adapt. Meanwhile, we will just add where we find it relevant. We thought about adding new features like maintenance data. We do get requests on the go, but for now, we just want people to kind of know about it, spread the idea, support where we can, and just have it out there to enable as much use cases as we can.
Oh, that's great stuff. So Dave talked a little bit, just briefly touched on the word humanoid. And I'm sure this is something that a lot of people are trying to learn more and more about, is where are humanoids going to fit into our world? Where do they fit into VDA 50/50, Susanne? I mean, is this something that we can possibly wrangle them into this? Or is it just, I mean, there's a lot of unique features that have to be kept in check if we're going to do that.
Good question. I had an idea this might come up. Funnily enough, we work a lot as IDEALworks with NVIDIA. Also, we partner with them a lot on kind of more research-focused topics. And the first question when they got into the VDA 50/50 stream was humanoids. How are we going to do it? Are we ready to do it? To be fair, at this point, I'm not a humanoid expert. Where I see it very fit is for the mobile picking application, because VDA 50/50 is pretty much very good or straightforward at telling you go there and do something. Now, if we go very abstract with humanoids, the use cases I've heard about, there's various use cases, and some of them are super high level, I'm gonna have them as a service, deploy a robot for a day. I tell them based on natural language, do this or that, clean that area, whatever. For all these super abstract use cases, VDA 50/50 is not the right tool, in my opinion, because VDA 50/50 is about where and what. The moment you have the where and what defined, it works for any application, really. So mobile picking, we're already doing first integration tests. perfect fit for that. Or the full-on humanoid you treat like another employee, potentially not. That might be VDA 5050 4.0, but we will definitely have to do work on some concepts, I guess.
Yeah, I would think if you took the humanoids that are on wheels that roll around, maybe you could treat them. I find it more challenging when you have the bipedal type humanoids. That's going to they're their own challenge in themselves, right? So maybe a stretch to humanoids on one wheels could possibly have some relevance in the VDA 5050, but I don't see bipedals at all right now. Stability issues and whatnot. So.
Also, I think like maybe if we go, like I said, the kind of like wheeled robots, they work fine. I mean, like I can tell them exactly where to go and what to do. With legged robots or like kind of, human-like, very human-like robots, you kind of have to work on concepts more like instead of having exact coordinates of where to go, maybe have regions of interest, like kind of that we have to develop also as VDA 5050 a more high-level abstract language, which would be a whole new topic for us, to be honest. I think it's definitely feasible. Like we have, like I said, VDA is very toolkit-ish, as Andrew already mentioned. So you can always build on top of it or add to it. Like if you need a new notion, you can add it. But specifically, we haven't worked in that direction yet. And I'm not sure the industry is also ready, to be honest. But
I figured as much. I thought I'd just throw that question out there, surprise you a little bit, and see what you came back with. But no, I think that's a great answer.